You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? Why, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. Do you feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
Blossom, yes, blossom. That's the only sad thing. I want to know what happens next. Right then. Doctor whoever I'm about to be. Tag. You're it.
When are these teeth? What? What?
Hey there, Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks, we're back, and we're going back to the 11th Doctor era now. We're slowly making our way through most of the Doctor Who stuff that we haven't talked about in many years or in a lot of times or ever. It's pretty amazing when we have so much Doctor Who still to talk about, which is great and everything. But then again, with us, we will be talking about Class. We will be talking about Sarah Jane.
No.
We'll be talking about many things before we get to the wonderful, trial of the Time Lord. So it should be a ton of fun. But we got a great one for you folks tonight. And this one, I'm not even kidding. This is a totally awesome episode that we're going to talk about. We are talking about A Good Man Goes to War. And it's interesting what they were doing in these seasons. They were splitting them in half. And this was actually the first half of season 5. It was
Season 6.
Was it season 6 already?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having so much fun. So season 6 is the first half of season 6 is finale, and it was interesting because this was also the season with the impossible astronaut. This is also the season of we got the almost people, and it was pretty awesome. And this is also when we find out who River Song really is. That was always the biggest mystery for the first 2 seasons of Matt Smith. So it's going to be a ton of fun to talk all about. And we've got a great crew to join us. Of course, Mary Ogle is here.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
It's awesome to be with you guys tonight. And it's going to be a ton of fun to talk about. And we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. So I guess, not really a ton of Doctor Who news. We actually have a new casting for the new season of Doctor Who, and we are welcoming to the show Indira Varma, who a lot of people know as Susie from Torchwood. Actually,
Susie lives.
So it's pretty.
I don't think she's playing Susie.
No, she's actually playing a character known as the Duchess. So
yeah, I hadn't heard she was.
Yeah, I think she's playing a villain.
Yeah,
cool.
Most likely.
I have seen her in a lot of other things. Of course, yeah, Doctor Who fans will remember her from her brief stint at Torchwood, and then she was also on Luther. She played Luther's wife. She's also been in the
ex-wife. There's a big difference.
I think they were well, never mind. I was going to say, I think they were still married when the show started, but I'm not sure about that. So anyway, and then she was also in Obi-Wan and Game of Thrones, and I've appreciated her every time I've seen her. So this is great news. And look, I don't care if she was already on something that was related to Doctor Who. I think she's talented enough that you will not mistake these two characters for one another.
That happens all the time anyway. Doctor Who, they're always reusing people.
As we've said before, it's a small island. Like,
Yeah.
like it's sometimes, with all the people that have had multiple roles on Doctor Who, sometimes it really surprises me, the British actors and actresses out there that have never been on Doctor Who. I'm like, is that by choice? Because I would think just by law of averages, everybody would be on Doctor Who at some point.
Exactly. Everyone will be eventually, I'm expecting to see Robert McIntyre up there, eventually. You said
would love that.
But this is not really like news or anything. But I also saw where David Tennant was at a convention and someone asked about the specials, and he said, quote, "It'll have lots of surprises like the old days." He said, "I think there's stuff that people do not know is coming. And there's some stuff that people do know is coming." I'm like, well, okay, thank you.
That covers everything.
I'm like, that's
covered all his bases right there.
That's a very standard innocuous answer, right, from David. Like, yeah, there's I think there's going to be some things that people don't know, and people think, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, there's going to be some stuff.
I do think though that
surprise you, and then we're not going to surprise you. Basically,
I think that what I take that to mean though is that with all the stuff that's out there, I think it is still going to be possible for Doctor Who to surprise us in some way, and I'm very excited by that possibility.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
I like the idea that, people have certain expectations because of XYZ, something that they've seen, something that they've heard, et cetera, et cetera. And it's entirely possible that they will not be right. Not to rag on them for being wrong, but that Doctor Who will swerve things. And maybe some of the stuff that's been leaked has actually been not leaked officially, you know what I mean? Like through official channels have leaked certain things, but they've certainly done a lot of casting announcements for even for Ncuti's run, and this is way before we're even get a date on when he's going to start. So that's rare, I think, for New Who, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I think it's because people spotted them filming.
Yeah, it could be.
So it was going to come out anyway.
It could be. But still, the BBC has always been like, nope, we don't know anything. We don't know anything until like a week before.
Half the time, they're not even telling us when everything is actually coming out until like 2 weeks before.
But I also think Russell T and his team are smart enough that, like, this wasn't done by the BBC, but I think Russell T and his team are smart enough to know that we need to build excitement. We need to be having people talk about Doctor Who even when Doctor Who's not on. And this is a way that people can talk about Doctor Who and be excited for what's coming without just, revealing a lot.
No, I agree completely with that.
Yeah, I mean, thank God, finally they're committing to doing some promotion.
Yeah. And every single one of their cast announcements, the people that I've recognized, there's been a lot that I haven't recognized, but every single person that they've announced that's going to be featured in some way, I'm like all for, because they are casting really, really well. And I like that too, because, a good cast can really help even if the, script is lacking. These are people that can make, the best out of things. And I appreciate that too. Not that I want the scripts to be lacking, because I don't.
No. Please give us good scripts.
Yeah.
We so want good scripts. We really, really want good scripts.
Absolutely.
And, it's interesting too, because that actually leads into the next story we actually have. there is going to be another Big Finish adventure featuring the Second Doctor and Jamie, actually.
Yay.
But actually, and it's all brand new, and it's called James Robert McCrimmon. That's right. The Second Doctor actually gets to visit Jamie as a senior, like as an adult. So it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of life Jamie had left and led for himself after the Time Lords banished him back to England, actually Scotland. So it'll be very interesting to see the story.
Because outside of, and I don't even know when he was taken or when he, like, where that timeline is in the Fifth Doctor, but that's the only time we've seen him since he was like booted out.
Well, you got to see him in the Five Doctors real briefly.
Yeah.
And then you also got to see him in the Two Doctors, which was Colin Baker's era.
That's right.
And so, and it's interesting because people were because Patrick Troughton was already gray in that part. So it was real interesting because people were like going, where does that fit into the timeline and or anything like that? So
that's, timey-wimey.
Wibbly
Wobbly.
So it'll be interesting to see. And it's interesting, of course, they have Fraser, of course, is doing Jamie. And it's probably not going to be hard for him to, act his own age finally. But it's also going to have Michael Troughton playing the Second Doctor. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty interesting.
I know that Fraser can do a pretty good Patrick Troughton voice. And I'm glad to hear he's kind of not playing against himself.
Oh God, that would be weird.
I think he has done that on a Big Finish, if I'm not mistaken.
Has he?
Oh yeah, yes. In different times, and because
I know he's played both of them, but I didn't know he had actually played opposite himself.
Oh, it's not all that hard when you're doing audio adventures and stuff because you just record separately.
No, it's not that's hard for him to do it, but it gets confusing when you're listening to it.
Yeah. Well, his Troughton is pretty spot on.
Yeah, very much.
So I don't think you'd have any problem. He mimics Patrick pretty well. Yep. But no, I'm cool that I have, as you and I think Mary share this too, and Fraser, Jamie is one of our favorite companions, and anything more with him is always welcome. And I really hope that, inch by inch, we get more closer and closer to getting an animated or some sort of version of his debut, because his origin story, I think, is one of the ones that's missing that I want to see the most. The Highlanders.
Well, I read the book when they did the Target novelization, and that's the closest I've come to it. So,
yeah, my understanding is that there's lots of battles and lots of things that are would be difficult to animate.
Right. Now, it'll be very interesting. I'll be very curious to see what they do with it. And fingers crossed, it's going to be some great adventures. And we'll probably end up reviewing it here on the podcast. So we have plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of slots to fill.
Exactly.
Well, yes and no. We are getting closer and closer to the 60th, the debut of the specials. And then I think from there, we're going to have New Who pretty consistently, right?
Well, it depends on when Ncuti's era begins. How much time are we going to have between the specials and or the Christmas special and the rest of the season?
Yeah. Is the Christmas special one of the David specials?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is the Christmas special Ncuti's first one?
That's what.
Well, it's either his. I don't know if it's his first one or it's a standalone.
Right.
They aren't necessarily going to start the series from that.
And plus, we don't know if Ncuti appears in one of the specials.
Yeah.
He might.
He was in the trailer, but.
Right.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens. And I would love to, see what it is. And, as we get closer, I'm hoping will be revealed, we already know the names, but we don't know who's appearing, if anything. And I still have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see more doctors. I don't think David's going to be the only doctor.
More doctors in the specials?
Yes. So.
Entirely possible.
Yeah. And I also think that starting next year, we'll probably see the first, if not more, spin-offs from Doctor Who. So I don't think we'll have to wait as long between New Who and related programming than we have for the last 5 years or so.
That would be nice. I'm really looking forward to the unit spinoff.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. There's a lot that they can do with it. And there's still, tons of rumors who's going to be in it. I'm hoping for Freema's going to be there, of course.
That would be awesome.
And I hope they also bring in, of course, Ingrid Oliver back.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be a regular, but I bet she'd come back as, recurring.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Gemma leading the show. I think that would just be awesome. Because you always need a Lecter Stewart in it, so that would be cool. So I think that would be pretty darn awesome. So that's the big news that we have from our end. We might as well jump in with both feet into the review.
This is the day he finds out who I am.
My friend, you have never risen higher.
On this day, in this place, the Doctor will fall. Where is my wife? Child, not a weapon! She will be.
We are going back now to the fine year. Are you ready for this, folks? June 4th, 2011.
Wow. Almost
12 years ago.
Yeah. Almost exactly to the day.
Yeah. We did that on purpose. Yeah, that's right.
It is, Mike, you said before about how they split the seasons, or they split the season when they aired these, and I kept thinking that this was a season finale. This feels like a season finale, and for all intents and purposes,
sort of kind of is.
I was going to say, for all intents and purposes, it is, because the six season series, whatever you want to call it, is really 2 seasons. I think it feels like it because the tone and everything from one to the other is really different.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And, because you had, like I said earlier, the mystery of the whole season is, well, first off was who killed the Doctor, because you had that in the very first episode of the season.
Right. And this episode does not answer that.
No, not at all. But it also then, who was the woman who peeking into out of the scenes throughout the whole season, holes in the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, looking in on Amy. And it was just really, really interesting. And this is all just in a great, great series of episodes, because before this you had the Almost People, and which introduced the Gangers, which play a very big part in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Nothing like an exploding baby.
Oh my God.
I the title, as well as Amy's narration, especially in the beginning, really leads you to think that the good man that they're referring to is the Doctor, but it's not. And I really appreciate that, because I think this is the first time that I felt like Rory really, really comes onto his own. I mean, he's got good episodes here and there before this, but here he's like badass. Like when he's talking to the Cybermen, that is a badass moment that he doesn't get those very often.
No, that is the best Rory moment.
Oh,
isn't it? It's got to be
in his Centurion costume.
I love that. I have a question and I have a request.
A message. Yeah. I have a message from the Doctor and I have a question.
Yes.
That's the message from the Doctor. Boom. Now, awesome. Do I have to repeat the question? I mean, it's so badass, and Arthur finally gets to play like a confident badass guy, which usually in these he's playing like a bumbling guy that's like the third wheel. Sometimes it feels like.
Mm-hmm. There was, I think, the only other time we really saw him this good was when we had him in the Pandorica Opens, in that storyline where he was
where he becomes the
he's
the boy who waited.
Yeah,
exactly. He becomes a real boy after that point, so it's pretty cool. So it was interesting, and this was also like the first appearance of Strax, the first appearance of Jenny, and Madame Vastra, and it was just awesome because we had seen Dorium in an episode with River Song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wasn't he in the Pandorica episode?
Yep.
And it's a great introduction to all three of them, Strax, Vastra.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Jenny.
Interesting because two of them are actors that we've seen before playing the same species, playing the same species actually, but now they're just playing different characters.
Mm-hmm. And characters we all fall in love with.
And that's not confusing at all.
Nope.
that's Doctor Who for you. Talk about people who have been used before.
But then again, like with the Centaurans, there's really not a lot of leeway there. They really pretty much all look pretty similar, like potatoes.
I mean, they're clones, so
yeah.
It was interesting too because you had so much happening in this episode. This episode was really grand in the battles and the army building to take on the Doctor, and then you had the headless monks, and because I think this is the first time we see the headless monks, literally.
It's the first time we see them uncloaked, that's for sure.
No, I don't think we've ever seen them before this.
Yeah, I don't remember them.
No, we got an appearance of them in the little
short,
the prequel short before.
Man, I wish the shorts were on. I hope that Disney includes the shorts when they eventually get the new Who, because I bet they're on the disc. But I mean, with Max, you don't get any of the shorts.
Yeah, but they're all up on YouTube too, so you
sure. But you don't know if there's a short.
Them.
Yeah, you don't know if there's a short. You have to go dig for it.
There's also a sequel to an epilogue to this also, and that's how spoilers. That Strax doesn't die in this episode.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. And this is to me, this is Stephen Moffat at some of his best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that for a lot of people, this is what they don't like about Stephen Moffat, is stuff like this, because he is weaving a lot of stuff together here. And if you like, this is not a episode that you can just jump in and watch by itself. There's a lot of things at play here. Since day one of Moffat's run, there's things that are playing out in this episode. And you really have to be up to date with all that stuff in order to really, really appreciate what's going on here. Which I like a lot. I think there's a lot of great moments in this. Some of the best moments, as you said, Mike, of that are in Doctor Who are in this episode, and this has got multiple ones, so it's really special in that way.
Yeah, I adore this episode. I adore this whole season, and this whole season is very controversial.
Oh yeah,
it's like
especially the second half.
Yeah, it's one of the most controversial, and a lot of people hate it. And I am totally the opposite. It is one of my favorite series of Doctor Who because I love River Song.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stephen Moffat is at the top of his game. Frankly, he starts going downhill in the next series. But yeah, in this one, he is on fire. And I love how he uses time. He's not afraid to use time and to sort of go back and forth with that. And I love all the different. I almost wish we had done this as a two-parter with Let's Kill Hitler, because they go so well together. And it's fun. It's nice to be able to watch them without the gap. Because when I rewatched this, I watched Let's Kill Hitler too afterwards, just because I was enjoying it so much.
You had to drop the other shoe.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too because Matt was amazing in this episode.
Oh my God, he's so good. So good.
He goes from being so like sure of himself to being so angry at what happened and everything, and
from being so confident and like you said, sure of himself to completely doubting everything that he knows.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
And you can see it all in his face. It's just, and it feels real. Like it has real weight to it. And it's awesome. He's the perfect Doctor for this sort of story.
Oh, I don't think I couldn't even see Tennant or Eccleston or Tom Baker or someone doing this.
Maybe Eccleston. I'm not sure about Tennant.
Yeah, I mean,
this is nothing against Tennant. I just think he would have a harder time.
I hate to, compare and contrast because they're all really great actors. I think even from the classic series on, they all did a lot of work that I think they should all be proud of. And who knows? I mean, it could have, but so I'm not comparing them. But I mean, it's hard for me. These are Doctor moments that Matt has that I cannot picture anybody else. I think. I can safely say, at least in my head, that Stephen Moffat gives Matt Smith's Doctor more great Doctor moments than any showrunner gives.
There are a lot of them.
the Doctor for their runs. Like there's just moment after moment after moment that are like just like some of the top 10, 20 moments of the whole franchise happen in this series, which is amazing. And some of them even happen, like 2 or 3 happen in this episode.
the production is great too. The music, the sets, the design of it, the costumes. I mean, everyone is just on the top of their game.
Yeah. And the thing I noticed watching it this time is that the battle is so lame, but everything that's going on is so cool you don't even notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is like the cheapest, lamest battle you could produce on a television series.
I mean, like they barely have any people.
Yeah, exactly. We barely see any fighting. Certainly it looks like towards the end, it looks like our heroes around the TARDIS are doomed as they're surrounded by headless monks, but somehow they get out of it. You know what? Doesn't matter. They just do. The CG of all of the Silurians and all that kind of stuff is kind of wonky and all that, but it's fun. And like I said, you don't notice it because there's so much character drama that you don't really care about the battles. You care about the outward battles. You care about the battles that are going on within these people, between these people. And it's so compelling, and it's just the way it's shot, the way it's directed, the way it's edited, the music and everything. It doesn't get much better than this.
No, it's amazing. It is amazing. And, hats off to Frances Barber for being the perfect villain.
Oh yeah, she was amazing.
Varian is just amazing.
Yes.
And everything. And you literally feel her twisting her mustache the whole time.
Yes. But she doesn't go overboard. No. She doesn't, because it would be easy to do that. It would be easy to just, go completely off the rails. And she keeps it controlled, and it just makes it so much more menacing.
Yeah, not only twisting the mustache, as you put it, Mike, but also twisting the knife in the Doctor's back. Just like, it's like you could just, it's so painful, and she enjoys it so much. It's so good.
I love it when she was even saying, make the Doctor feel like he's actually winning this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, she is a sociopath, and it really comes through.
Oh, very much so.
Not too many villains out there get one on the Doctor, and this is probably one of the biggest ones that the Doctor got wrong. The fact that he didn't spot that the baby was one of the what do they call them?
Gangers.
Gangers or whatever.
Flesh people.
Yeah, the almost people. little puddles of goo. And and when that happens, when the baby just goes squat, that tears your heart out.
I mean, that is think of Amy's point of view.
Absolutely.
She's a mother, and her baby has just exploded in her arms.
Yeah,
and she doesn't know.
It's interesting too, the scream that Karen gives when the baby melts in her arms and everything. It's just, and she screams for Rory. It's just like, oh my God.
And the way she acts after that, she's so angry, confused, and the doctor goes to give her a hug and she's like, don't touch me. Rory goes over and she's like, no, and one of the other characters, I think it was what's her name from Stranger Worlds, was like was saying, hey, it's not the doctor's fault. And she's like, I know, but I can't. I feel like I have to direct this anger at somebody.
Yeah, it's very understandable.
Yeah, and it's so complicated and so good. Karen does such a great job with it. I don't think she gets near enough credit.
No, and it's interesting to see Christina Chong in this because we've all become very familiar.
I had no idea. I couldn't remember. I didn't remember she was in this. When I saw her, I was like, I know her, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh. She's on Star Trek now.
Exactly, which is pretty awesome. And she's been in a ton of different things, but I recognized her right away. It's like, oh, Strange New Worlds.
She's kind of got the trifecta of sci-fi geekdoms because she was on Doctor Who and now she's in Star Trek and she was actually in one of the Star Wars movies, but all her scenes were cut.
Welcome to 98% of the actors out there in the world. So it's interesting though. And I did like the story overall and everything. And Doctor Who is, still a family show. So I didn't expect to see much battle, actually fighting or killing or whatever and everything. And
that is a pretty affecting scene when Lorna Bucket dies.
Oh, when she dies and it's, and the doctor says, I remember everyone. And that was just amazing.
Did you believe him?
No, because then he turns to Vastra and says, who was she?
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like the most heartbreaking thing.
Yeah, because he just, I remember everyone. We ran. Because he
runs everywhere.
95% of the people that I meet, that's what we do.
Right. He figures he's got a pretty good chance if he says something like that.
But to be fair, he might not have met her yet.
That's true.
He's going at a different time than, jumping around, and he might not have gone to that planet yet.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be that he doesn't remember her. It's just that he hasn't gotten to her yet.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting too, because, and it was,
I wonder if that story's ever been told.
I loved how the doctor was, how he, made everybody drop their weapons because they did, the headless monks and the military were going at it against each other.
Yeah.
Because they weren't sure who the doctor was and everything.
Oh man.
So they just started bashing each other.
And then they said, put the weapons down. And as soon as everyone put the weapons down, all the Silurians and everything started popping up and the Jadoon were there. And it was just awesome.
I mean, that's another heartbreaking scene too, when the gay married Marines.
Oh,
when the headless monks are leading away.
Yeah, they really make us feel for like the grunts in this, which is an interesting choice as well, where they're not just drones that are nameless or red shirts. Steven goes out of his way to give a number of them personalities and stories that you really care about them. And you're like, wait a minute, should I care for them because they're the bad guys?
Yeah, I think he kind of makes it clear that they're the cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
They're just caught up in something they don't really understand.
But even the colonel was, I think that's the colonel, right? The leader of them was pretty badass.
Yep. It's, it was interesting, and I liked the story overall, and it moved very quickly and everything.
Yeah. This has enough material in it for a 2-hour movie, and they condense it all into an hour, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then there's always River Song.
I don't know about you guys. The reveal of who she was blew me away. Even though in this episode, I'm like, man, you could really see it coming. And then later on, when you see all the clues that Steven and them left, like the breadcrumbs that they left since like Steven started, it's like, oh yeah, how did I not make this connection? But it is something that I don't remember anybody saying, anybody guessing. And I just thought it was a brilliant move too. It just made sense. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. It's one of my favorite Doctor Who moments, actually, because finding out, I was worried because I liked River a lot, and I'm like, they're going to explain who she is, her backstory. Am I going to like this? And the fact that she's Amy and Rory's child is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And the reveal of that
that was awesome. Matt's, discussion with River. He went from being really cross with her, to, when she said read. And then his face lit up, and it was like, oh, does that mean yes?
It's kind of weird. It's another one of those fake out, though, because he says the crib is his. And so we're led to believe that the Gallifreyan writing on the crib is his name, right? And I think that distracts us even more from, putting it together that it's River. And then, Amy goes to read it, and she's like, I can't read this because it's not translating. And of course, Gallifreyan is the one thing that the artist can't translate, which is
or won't translate.
Which is weird because aren't most people who use TARDIS is Gallifreyan?
Yeah, I figured that was more like won't translate.
Yeah. So, but it turns out to be that it must not be his name. It must have been River's name, and so I don't think he lied, but it's just interesting. Like, it are both true. I mean, it was his crib, and for some reason they decided to put River's name on the crib.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has to be River's name. I mean, River's name was on the prayer leaf. It's just that Amy tended to look at the crib first.
Well, the doctor,
she thought
the doctor didn't see the crib. I mean, he just saw the writing on the crib, and he
he saw the writing on the prayer leaf.
Yes,
no, he did not.
It was
yes, he did.
It was laying.
It was right there.
Yeah,
no, because
it was in the crib.
But we don't see him translate that. We see it when Amy translates that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether we see him actually translate it.
The shot of him is him looking down, a shot of the writing on the crib, and then the shot of his reaction face. So that tells me that he was looking at the writing on the crib.
That just tells me that they wanted us to think he was looking at the writing on the crib because they were holding out for the moment on the prayer leaf.
That could be. In any case, it's not that big a deal regardless, because what is a big deal is his reaction to it. And I mean, it is confusing for everybody involved when you don't know. Now, this is, one of the few, I've seen this episode a few times, but I haven't seen it in a while. And when you can really appreciate a lot of things about that happens here. When River, when Rory's recruiting and runs across River, and she just looks at him as like, Rory, I don't know if it's not the first time they met, is it?
No,
but she really knows, really reacts to him. I don't know if it is the first time because
they met each other in the Pandorica episode.
Yeah, but which timeline was that for River?
Well, she met Rory way back in Let's Kill Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very early in her timeline.
But Let's Kill Hitler is after this.
Yeah.
Not in her.
Not in her timeline. Because she just...
In her timeline,
she just regenerates from Mel. in Let's Go.
Yeah, it's all timey-wimey. Anyway, it looks like it's the first time she's ever seen him. Because she definitely takes a look at him like, and he's even, Rory's kind of like looking like, why are you looking at me that way?
No, she looks at, that's the first hint you get that there's more to their relationship, that they know each other is what I got from it.
Sure.
Is, she's like looking, that's my dad, type thing. All heroic and everything.
Yeah. I kind of got the feeling that she just hadn't seen him in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. So
yeah, well, however the times work.
I mean, maybe he's even already, gone back in time to Manhattan by that time. Who knows?
Because it's interesting that Stephen knew from day one. That's why he named Amy Pond, gave her the last name Pond. So he always had it in his head that River was going to be related in some ways to Amy. And I think the season before this, Stephen told Alex, but swore her the secrecy. She couldn't tell anybody else. So nobody, even Karen and Arthur, had no idea until they were filming this scene. Even in rehearsals, they had masked the fact that they had a different ending. So they didn't know, they didn't know. So they wanted to keep this really hush hush. But it is amazing to me how that's why it works. And that's why I think it feels genuine, because Stephen knew all along and he was putting those seeds in there. So it didn't feel like it came out of nowhere, even though it was a big surprise.
Yeah, definitely. If you go and look, that's why this season is so much fun to rewatch.
Yeah,
because you can really go back and look at where he's planted all these clues.
Yep.
Which I did not pick up on at the time.
No.
And that's the cool thing about it, is there's just all the clues. It's like, oh, you're right. Wow, now we know. And it's just like, it's the fun thing about it. And so much still cool stuff to come even further in this season. And that's the fun thing about it. Starting with the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It was really...
Yeah, it gets kind of convoluted. And critics of Moffat are really like to jump on him for this. But a lot of the stuff, the storyline with the astronaut and Madame Kavarian and all of that, does get a little convoluted towards the end. And I'm saying that as an understatement. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's not as strong to me as this is, or Let's Kill Hitler is. The last few episodes of this season, which kind of deal with that, aren't as strong for me.
For me, there's some amazing. The Girl Who Waited was such an amazing.
That's not what I'm talking about. That has nothing to do with this storyline.
I know, but Night Terrors was my only week one for it.
Yeah.
And everything. And, the Cybermen story with the Return of Craig, but could have just...
I find that one kind of fun.
Stormageddon. So it's
I know it's not the best one, but I still find it kind of fun.
And I love the God Complex, which was awesome.
That was a great episode. Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some fun stuff to come. So, any final thoughts you want for this before we go ahead and rate this one?
I can't believe this is I could talk about this one even for a lot longer.
It's just so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So good. And the thing is, I can't tell people that they should start with this one.
No,
because it doesn't make any sense. But
if you've watched Doctor Who for a while, you're going to love it.
I would tell people, if they wanted to be familiar with this, at least start the beginning of the season and work their way towards it.
Yeah, maybe beginning of this season before this one. Start with Matt's season.
I was going to say, start with the first episode with Matt, and that's the best thing. Oh, it's one of the best first
episodes. You literally see people in this episode from the Dalek story.
Yeah.
You just got to see the pirates.
And then what's his name? Tommy flying the plane.
That's from the Dalek story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty interesting with that. All right, Mr. Mike, you're raving about it. Go ahead and give it a rating.
I'm going to go ahead. I know it's not perfect. Like I said, the battle is lame, but I don't care. That's how good the writing is and the character work is on this. Everybody is on their A game. I can't give this any less than a 5. I mean, everything just comes together so well. It could have, in lesser hands, it could have really fallen apart. And that moment where we find out who River is could have just fell flat. But instead, it felt amazing. It's a weird way to cut, like the last thing you see before a big break of episodes, but that does leave you hanging for sure in a good way. And there's a lot of moments in here that are great and heartbreaking, triumphant, and everything. It's got everything in it.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Very much so. All right, Mary.
I have to give it a 5. This is one of my favorite episodes. It's so good. This whole season is so good. I mean, some are better than others, but it is just such a fun season. Stephen Moffat at the absolute top of his game. And I just, I think one of the things that really sets this episode apart, even, apart from the fun, timey-wimey plot, is that there were just so many good character moments here. The interaction between Matt and Alex, between Amy and Rory, between Matt and Lorna Bucket, and even the side characters all have little backstories that you really feel for them.
The villains
are great.
He even takes the time to create and introduce 3 new characters that we love.
That you care about. That you still want to see back.
Exactly. Like, you know what? I know I've got a lot going on here, but let me just introduce 3 new characters.
Here are 3 epic characters you're going to love immediately.
It's so good. I mean, it's a master at work.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It is just, I love this episode so much. I highly recommend it.
Yep. I agree with that completely. And I'm going to agree. This is definitely a 5 for me. 5 TARDISes all the way. And so much so in the last 24 hours, I've watched it twice already.
Nice.
So it was that much fun. And I just had a blast with this one. And God, I miss Matt as the Doctor. He was so good as the character, taking, being angry, being forceful. And even like in the scenes when he was picking up the different people to help him out, and you just saw his silhouette, the shadow, and it was like when Dorian was getting picked up, he was like, "No, why can't you take somebody else, please, no?" And I just loved it. It was just awesome, and I kept on thinking, God, I wonder what the story would have been like if Barrowman was in it, because he was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, he couldn't get away because he was filming Torchwood.
Exactly.
And I think not the great Torchwood.
No.
I mean, I'm sure, like, if it was up to him, he'd be like, I wish I was in that episode of Doctor Who.
Or as they like to go, wah, wah. But yeah, it was great. And this is such a high for me. And seeing the Doctor like this, and it was just a ton of fun. There was tender moments in this. There was horrific moments, and it was just all around a great, great story. So we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Definitely let us know what you guys think. Feedback at ourstationwho.com. I know this episode's probably going to come out right in the middle of it, but if you're in the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia area, we are going to be at Concaster Burris this weekend. And, definitely stop by. We'll have a table set up, and it should be a ton of fun for us to be there. And, just stop by, say howdy. It would be great for you to do it if you get a chance. And if you want to check out their schedule, it's concasterburris.com. So it's pretty straightforward, folks. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. All right. And Miss Mary, you're going to be at Con K, and anything you want to promote?
I am so looking forward to being at Con K. It's really going to be fun. You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Awesome. Sadly, Mr. Mike, you will not be joining us this weekend.
I am bummed that I cannot join you. The thing that I'm going to miss the most about not being at Con K is hanging out with you two. So I wish you nothing but a great time. And have a good time. And represent us well.
Oh, we will. We will. And if you stop by our table, we also have some.
No promises.
Very cool. We have ESO Network swag. I don't know why I'm holding it up because it's not a video podcast.
Nobody can see it.
We're not a video podcast yet.
Yet. So it's going to be a ton of fun, folks. So definitely check us out. And you know what? We're looking forward to seeing everyone. Until then, my name is Mike Faber. On behalf of myself, Mary Ogle, and Mr. Mike Gordon, we will see you all soon. Peace, and have a great one, folks. And remember, a good man does go to war.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
It was the year of fire.
The year of destruction.
The year we took back what was ours.
It was the year of rebirth.
The year of great sadness.
The year of pain. And the year of joy. It was a new age. It was the end of history.
It was the year everything changed.
The year is 2261.
The place, Babylon 5. The podcast is the Epsilon 3.
Right here on the ESO Network.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.